These are really good.
Okay. Ready to
We're
go?
all set. All right, so it is just now 3:01. I'm gonna call the meeting to order, and, we'll take the roll of committee members in attendance. Dave Cahill.
Here.
Deborah Doyle.
Here.
Barbara McKenzie. Can you hear us? And, looks like you're frozen,
Here.
Barbara. Okay, great. Thank you for joining us on the Zoom. No announcements. Do we have any public appearance comments, Lisa?
Checking here.
Okay.
I'm gonna double check that and get back to you.
Okay, all right. We'll move on, and if you have any, let me know. So I'm gonna take us to the first discussion item, which is a draft of the workflow for fiscal year 24-25. And, Myrna, you're appropriately clad with a library-themed shirt today,
Yes,
so I'm gonna turn this over to you.
thank you. I like to be in theme sometimes.
Yes, thank you very much. We appreciate you setting the proper tone for our meeting.
So what I'm sorry, if I'm just not feeling well, I think it's the air quality that's affecting me.
All of us.
Yeah. Okay, so as we've done for at least a couple of years, or maybe just last year, we started with developing a workflow or major items that will come before this committee. So it's basically a work plan for us, and these are just major projects. As usual, you have your normal monthly reports that you review, as well as some other things that may come up. This workflow or work plan can be amended to add any new items or to adjust any dates. But it looks like we will have a busy month in August. You will receive the end of year fiscal year 23-24 unaudited financials. Also, by August, we will have kicked off our audit for that same fiscal year period. And then we have, so the year-end fiscal audited financials will include a projected amount for all revenues. Expenditures would be in except for the revenues, because as we know, sales tax has a 2-month lag. We have kicked off an OPEB valuation that we do every 2 years, and it should be ready by August meeting. And we've agreed earlier or last month to submit the Facilities Capital Improvement Plan, or the FCIP. And also, I'm proposing an appropriation transfer policy. This is to emulate the county. So what it is that, as you know, the governing board is the only body that can obligate this organization in terms of financial matters, as well as, for example, and also adopt the annual budget. Any transfers that we want to make, like say within services and supplies, that's normally where we see transfers. We've had to ask the commission to approve those, even if it's $2,000 from membership into training, or vice versa, from office and supplies, or we need more funds. We're underspending in consultants for X reason. All of those items need to be approved by the commission, which you have seen over time, because there is no delegation of that authority. And the county, and it is a good practice to have one everywhere I've worked, but apparently the library doesn't have a policy in place. And so I'm working on a proposal using, what the county has in place. So essentially, that's what this policy is. And, I hope to have it to you all in August for your review and recommendation to the commission.
Can we stop there for a second?
Yeah.
Because I've got a couple of questions, and maybe other committee members do also. Who's performing the OPEB evaluation?
It's Foster and Foster, the same team as Bartel. They were acquired, I think, a year ago.
Okay, and this will be evaluation as of what date?
As of June 30th, 2023.
So we're, as with the pension fund, we're always a year behind.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think I'll ever get used to that. Okay.
It is a little weird.
Yeah, okay. With regard to the appropriations transfer policy, will that also address the issue of annually funding the various reserve funds that we've set up?
I have a separate policy scheduled for November.
Oh, okay,
To look at that. I think that is good timing for that policy.
Okay, I didn't want to jump the gun there, but okay. But we will be addressing that, but not until November.
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions about, what's happening in August? Dave?
No.
Deborah?
Yeah, I think we talked a little bit about, doing an appropriations transfer policy before, so I think, so this is good. My question is, when you, computer, when you make the policy, so you don't have to bring the small things to us, I assume we will get a list of the things that have been approved, or at some point, just, so that we fulfill our fiduciary responsibilities, so we know what's going on. There should be a way for us to do that. I assume you've already thought about that.
I have thought about it.
There you go.
I have thought about it. You know, interesting, the county does not have that feature in it, but, I could see value of it for your information if you'd like to. We could talk about, you know, it'll be a draft, so, you know, we can discuss what the desire of this committee is.
And I don't want to mess up policy. I mean, I like clean policies, but I also think procedures are important. And because this library has not had money for, you know, we've had money for a little while now, but I think there's still some sense that we're not quite sure, how it all, I don't want to say how it all works, but, I think just when we implement a policy that's like this, I think it might be wise just to let us have a transition, so that we have information, that's all. Well, it's kind of,
We're gonna see a draft of this,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You're gonna draft the policy, and I think what I think you're asking for is just that we don't necessarily have to approve
right.
everything, but you would like to see in some format reporting on what has been transferred.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay.
Barbara, any questions about what Myrna's discussed with regard to August?
Well, thank you for asking. Can you hear me okay?
Can hear you just fine, thank you.
Okay. I keep getting unstable internet. I don't know, it must be on my side. I'm gonna have to say I'm not really quite positive what it means to have an appropriations transfer policy, so I'm looking forward to reading that. And you asked the question correctly, Andy, or appropriately about who's doing the OPEB valuation. So it's the same organization that did it the last time 2 years ago. So you're right now in the process of getting all those detailed calculations employee by employee, and it's a lot of data submission, right? And so we will have that report in August to look at, or
Yes. That's
So they
correct.
have-
It should be done.
they
It
have
should
all
be done
that.
prior to August, but your next meeting is August.
Oh, we're not meeting in July?
No, I think we had this discussion,
Mhm.
not clear that there's gonna be a lot for us to review, and Myrna and her team are gonna be working hard to close the books, and,
Right. So in July, the year-end books do not close until the last week of July.
Yeah.
So there would be no year-end report, prepared for you all.
and we wouldn't have
I'm sorry.
sales tax revenue until August anyway.
You would not see July or August sales tax in July.
Yeah.
So,
Bless you.
I
it is
remember
good
the
for me.
discussion. I didn't remember that we decided for sure not to have the meeting.
Are
That's
you okay
funny.
with that, Barbara?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay, I'm sorry, Myrna, why don't you go ahead with the other months in the
Sure.
workflow?
So in September, given, discussions that we've had in this finance committee as well as at the commission in terms of the assumptions that went into creating revenue projections for fiscal year 25, it'll be, by that time, we will have information to have a preliminary review, and discussion about any fiscal impact for next fiscal year. So I just wanted to call that out.
Sure.
Any questions on that? Okay.
Nope.
In October, we kick in the capital projects budgeting procedure, and that will be your first update. And then in November, we have the financial audit, and also a new policy that the finance committee has been discussing, is to review mid-year or year-end or mid-year surpluses of revenue, so that there could be some guidelines on allocating those surpluses to priorities of the library. In January, you'll get a second quarter capital project update. And in February, you will see the mid-year review, and we like to give updates on procedures. And then in May, as needed, you'll get a quarter 3 capital update. And the budget workshop is scheduled for April 16, and then the budget adoption on June 4.
I think I have a question about the budget, workshop. This year it was on March 27th. Here it's projected almost 3 weeks later. Is that gonna, I know that will give you more time to prepare for the budget workshop. Based on what happened, do you feel that it's enough time between the budget workshop and the final approval by the commission? In this case, we didn't have a lot of changes. Just wanted to be sure that was gonna be comfortable for you.
I feel comfortable because I always update this committee on a monthly basis as well as the commission. If we work together in partnership to, look at critical decisions that need to be made during the year, I think that we can have a solid budget proposal. So at this time, it's a pleasure of this committee and the commission to make any changes to those dates. I think those dates have already been approved by the
Okay.
commission.
Right.
And also, so the reason why we did it early this year was because of the Public Library Association conference.
Oh, okay, so
Several
it
of
was
us-
early this year,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
And different workflows, and there's some holidays in there next year. Those were the primary reasons. Although I love extra time on either end, anywhere. But time is unforgiving.
Yeah.
Okay, so that concludes this work plan for now.
A question? If we decide to move forward with a campaign. And if it is not successful in November, we should probably revisit to take a look at,
5-year projection.
yeah.
Okay, and,
I mean, just and usually, I mean, I know as we go through the year, you say, we have to make a little change here, so we can certainly do that through the procedure. I just want us to have in our minds that we would have to, I think, rethink things.
well, what I could do, I can add to this, because, I can add just a sales tax measure review
Yeah,
of, because that'll be in November.
sounds great.
And then we could plan for a forecast.
Sounds great. That would make me happy.
See, Barbara, you've got a hand up also.
Yes, I was wondering about, we've had discussions in the past and we've actually had, numbers brought before us, but we're talking about like projections out about 5 years. And I wonder if, that's something that we could keep on the workflow consistently. I think that to me, the important part of that is that it really gives you much more of an idea on the unfunded liability part. And we talked about it before, whether we needed to have a 5-year projection or not. And I believe, Myrna, you indicated you thought it was a good idea. So I just wondered if that fits in here too, your year-long planning.
Yes, I think it'll be prudent to do that, given, the renewal of the sales tax and the volatility that we've experienced in, over the last year, to update our 5-year projection.
Okay.
And include that as an annual
Great.
item.
Thank you.
When would we be due for the next review of our pension plan?
The pension plan, so just to backtrack a little bit in regards about the OPEB valuation.
Right.
The OPEB valuation is required every 2 years by CalPERS, since we do have a trust with them. With our own CalPERS, separately on the pension side, there's no requirement. We have, done it every 2 years as well, and it would be due this year as well. If I was looking at terms of workflow, that perhaps, we could initiate it in November.
I think I'd like to initiate it after we know the result of the,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
election, yeah.
okay.
Any other questions, concerns about the workflow? Okay, thanks for bringing this to us. I love the preview of coming attractions, and we'll look to follow and make adjustments as needed. Lisa?
And before you move on to the next item, I checked, there were no comments received.
Okay.
The email, and also Ray's on the line, so if we have any questions, I can promote him, the panelist right now. He's just listening in.
Okay. Good. All right, well then, we're gonna move on to the next discussion item, which is the CFO report for May. And, again, Myrna, you're our star.
Oh, boy. Okay, so this will be, our last report before June 30th. And, this report is May, and May marks 92% of the fiscal year that's transpired. In terms of our revenues, we've received $39.2 million, or 87.7% of the budgeted revenue. In terms of property tax and sales tax revenue, we've received, almost 25.9 million, and that is 97% of the approved adjusted total property tax revenue for the year. Generally, we do receive, June postings. I've seen them already, but normally the county is closing up on, this fiscal year. And so, I do anticipate that property tax revenues will meet the target. Under sales tax, the library received $11.6 million by the end of this month, or 71% of the budgeted sales tax revenue. So as you can see, between May and 71% and where we are at 92% for 11 months, there's about a 4% difference there, and 45% difference. So given that we won't know what the actuals are until August, I assumed that a 4 to 5% shortfall by year end would be about $600 to $770,000. That's still a general estimate, could be higher, depending on where we are with the next couple of months of revenues. But other revenues are on track or exceed our targets, and so therefore, as I've said before, those other revenues help offset any potential shortfall in sales tax, as well as you see through these reports, that we're underspending. There's savings in our expenditures, so those do help mitigate impact to services this fiscal year. And as you know, I will continue to monitor all receipts very closely, and you will still receive a report. You wanted a report in July, but it will not have all the revenues for the year.
Just a comment, and I know at this point we're just watching it, but when I look at sales tax year to date, we're actually below last year's prior year actuals.
Mm-hmm.
And last year's total actuals at year end are $1 million less than what our budgeted amount.
So
was
I'm
for
sorry,
this year.
these figures here, these are prepared by the county, but we actually exceeded, these were the estimates at year end for fiscal year 22-23. The actuals were actually 15.8 million, so we did exceed. Is that what you're looking at?
Well, I'm looking at the final, so are you saying
Oh,
that the
I'm sorry.
information in the last column is not right?
It's reported as of what you last saw unaudited. These are unaudited figures.
Are there other things there that are not right? I was assuming that the figures were correct.
In the last column, fiscal year 22-23 actuals are unaudited. Well, we need to add that, unaudited.
So what I'm hearing you say is that the actual correct sales tax revenue for fiscal year 22-23 was $400,000 more than what it says here.
Approximately, yeah.
I sense a conceptual difficulty here.
Yeah, is there any other, are there other numbers here
No,
that are off?
Just this column, because these are unaudited.
Well, shouldn't you include in this what your latest guess is as to what the actuals are?
Oh,
Well, I guess going forward, when we do get our audited financials, this column is gonna be the same every month, right? I mean, we're reporting the previous year, we don't have to change it. Once we get the audited numbers for next year, and we get the audit, can we put those numbers into this
Yeah.
column so that we're looking at the actuals rather
Yes.
than the income?
Mhm.
Okay, that would be helpful. Is that where you were going, Dave?
Yes, I'm still not sure what's going on here, but I'm sure you're doing it correctly. The whole idea of having two sets of unaudited things presented at the same meeting, one on the sheet and one orally, off by $400,000. Doesn't really work for me, but it's less than a million, so who cares?
Okay, I'll make it clear that these are unaudited, and I will add the audited figures in here as well.
Right,
The
so, I
column
mean,
just should need a label.
until November or December, we won't be able to do that, but once we get the audited report, let's adjust that column, okay?
Mhm.
All right, that's my only request. Okay, thank you, I didn't mean to interrupt, but that's actually good news then. So we ended up with more money, so maybe we won't be short $1 million, we'll just be short 600,000.
Well, like I said, these are estimates.
I understand,
These
okay.
are estimates, and we don't know until we know.
Right,
But this year to date, this 11.6 million,
That was through May, that is correct.
okay.
yeah,
And compared to last year,
it's
at
still,
this
it's
time,
less,
it's a little bit less,
yeah.
200,000 roughly.
Yeah, so essentially, yes, so our budget is 16.4 million, right? So if we are $700,000 short, or almost 800,000, yes, we will be under 15,000, under $16 million. So yes, it makes sense then, if we're short as of today, that's my whole projection. So if we reduce our target by
And I understand that has no impact, right? You're expecting the property tax revenue is gonna be very close to the budget. Our interest income and other revenue has already exceeded our budgeted amount. We know that our expenses are well managed. We don't need to worry about it.
Not just good.
Yeah, okay, all right, sorry to derail, okay.
So that is for this year. For next year, we do have, the work plan where we will review revenues in, as early as August.
September, right? Well,
August.
we'll see the figure in August, but September we'll adjust, yeah,
Mhm.
okay.
Okay, so in terms of expenditures, again, you already summarized it, but we're at a total of $38.1 million, or at 78.4% of total budget. Specifically under salaries and benefits, we're at 24.1 million, or 84.2% of the total budgeted expenditures. And, I do expect that salaries and benefits would be within our approved budget. Cash, balance, where property tax is at 22.4 million, sales tax is at 20.4 million, and, I called out restricted cash at 5 million, and bequest is a subset of restricted cash at $3.2 million. Fund balance, remains the same as last month. Property tax at almost $12 million, and sales tax at approximately $7.6 million.
Okay.
Anything else?
Sorry, give me just one sec, please.
Mhm.
So I have a question about the, interest income
Mhm.
Which page?
line on the summary,
Okay.
yeah. And this is probably a simple-minded question, but I see that, you know, over the course of the year, our cash balance varies just as we would expect it would. When we get property taxes in, we get a big influx in cash, and then it goes down until the next property tax payment. So our cash balance in May was a little bit less than the cash balance in April, but not a lot.
Mhm.
When I look at the interest income other line, and I was just doing kind of a simple calculation based on, you know, if interest rates are 5%, and we have, you know, $47 million in the bank, we should be getting interest income of $190,000 a month. In April, we got $346,000, and in May, we got $51,000. Why is this not more
Let's see.
continuous?
Yeah, it
Well,
actually
interest-
oscillates by quarter.
It is by quarter. Interest rate is posted by quarter.
It's 70,
So I see it's high in October, it's high in January, and it's high in April, so, and then it's,
low in November.
Okay, so another piece is in here, there's a tiny little piece of property tax that's tucked in there. It's the homeowner exception. So homeowner exception is, homeowner exception is, when someone, if you're not a homeowner and you don't occupy your home, you're subject to, if you're a homeowner and you occupy your home, you get a reduction, you get an exception.
Very small amount of money.
Yeah, and that is tucked up in here, and I could give you what the specific of that is, and that's probably what posted in April, I guarantee it.
It's about $70, you know, for me,
okay?
yeah. So it's a very small amount of money per person, but when you aggregate it,
But that's where it's posted. It's posted in, other, and,
So I guess my question is, we don't receive interest income monthly, is what
No.
you're saying?
but,
we accrue it probably,
Would-
it's just not given to
It's
us.
not posted,
Yeah.
it's not posted, it's posted quarterly.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay.
That answer your question?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, overall, you know, our year.
Like I could, oh, go ahead. I was looking at to see what exactly was the posting in March, so we
Right.
get some idea. Mm,
I guess my question is, I'm looking at so far this year, year-to-date, interest income / other
mhm,
is, you know, $1.7 million.
mhm.
Do you have any detailed breakout that would tell you how much of that is interest income versus how much of it is any other stuff?
Mhm.
How much interest have we received over the course of the year?
So, I have to add up the sales tax and the property tax. Under property tax, interest, here it is, interest pool. Under property tax, 315,276. And under sales tax, $460,531 to date.
Could you, just call those numbers out again, please?
Okay, property tax, 315,276. And sales tax, 460,531.
So we've received in interest about $775,000.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a significant amount of money, but it doesn't seem like a lot, given the fact that we have $40 million in cash.
Shouldn't we be making more interest?
That's my question.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going. I mean, I realize, I'm not looking to put us in, you know, Bitcoin or something like that. But,
So beware.
our cash is invested with the county.
It's pooled with county, and then, they do allocate it. They allocate the interest.
And do you get a report on what percent interest we're getting?
I have not received it.
Remember, the higher the interest, the greater the risk of the underlying investment. Generally.
Yeah, right. I just wanna, I'd buy 45 million. I'm gonna multiply by 12, divide by 11. You know, it looks to me like we're earning less than 2% interest. I think I'm getting, you know, 5% from a credit union. I don't know, I'm just,
I feel you.
yeah.
I mean, I think we talked about in previous finance committee meetings, you know, a trust fund for the UAL, that might generate more interest. But we haven't, as a body, the library has not made that
Yeah.
decision.
You know, I'm just thinking, if we're gonna have considerable, we could go back to a low interest rate environment where it didn't make any difference, but right now it seems like a pretty high interest rate environment, and I'm not looking to take on additional risk. Just wondering if we are missing out on revenue opportunities. Okay, we'll take this offline.
I mean, I could further look into, and I'm sure we should be able to get some reports.
Could you just, check and see what they're invested in and what kind of rate they're paying us? And I'd just be curious, I don't know if you have colleagues at other government agencies. Could you just kind of do a little informal poll and see where they have their cash and what kind of interest they're getting?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Just a note, in San Francisco, long ago, before the branch renovation project, the Friends actually had more money in the bank than the library did. And so there was a big discussion about, public funds and being sensitive to public funds and not risking them, even though, you know, on a long-term basis. So the notion was, let's look at the public dollars in a long-term basis. The Friends also being mindful that they were caring for other people's money, but they could take a slightly more risky, investment strategy route than the library. But it was very interesting. And then, of course, the Friends spent most of it, 16 million, and the library has lots of money now.
Well, you know, I think it's fair enough that, you know, per the JPA, the county is our treasurer. And we could invite, someone, a representative, or, you know, Eric Rozier himself, to have a conversation about, you know, what their, investment policies are, because they are the JPA's treasurer.
Yeah, I'd just be curious about the short term, that's all. I mean,
No, I think that's fair.
Mm-hmm.
and I hesitate because, okay, I don't wanna apply personal financial standards or expectations to public funds, but it seems like it's worth taking a look at.
Yeah, there is a policy that's stated for the county, so that's what they follow, and they do, you know, are very, you know, low risk, deposits.
Right, understood.
We're not saying that.
It is an orphan's investment.
Okay,
Barbara has a question.
yeah, Barbara. Thanks, Dan.
Those are really good questions. Andy, I'm glad you asked, and I think it's important to look into. I don't understand the homeowner exception, because those of us who get the homeowner exception, that's tax that you don't have to pay. So
Correct.
how does that fit in with the explanation for the other revenue? Because it seems like that's revenue that we wouldn't get. So I must, maybe, unless I misunderstood what you were saying.
Is this for people who don't get the homeowner
Correct.
exemption, they have to make an extra payment?
Yeah, it's a very tiny amount, and yes, so, that means, vacation homes or investment homes that are here, those owners, those property owners have to pay a little more,
Is the timing of that the same as their regular payment?
yes.
Okay, so I guess I have two related questions then. One is just what seems like an uneven flow of money in this interest income other, and I understand that it sounds like the interest income is only posting every 3 months, and that accounts for the large amounts in October, January, and April.
So, yeah, actually, I'm looking at this, oh, yeah, right. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But we are getting other money in other months, and that can't all be coming from this non-owner occupied exemption that only happens twice a year.
Yeah, that only, like, for example, right now, I would say, that total for the year so far is 97,000.
Yeah.
The other big one is state funding, so we get grants. The
Okay.
lunch,
Okay.
at the library, our literacy grants, so far, we've recorded 376,000. So all those others are, those miscellaneous others is that category.
Would this also include, like, the MOU that we have with the county for the juvenile hall librarian, or what is that?
Let's see, yeah, we get that too, other governance agencies, so we get our, contracts with the county for the jail and juvenile hall. We haven't, let's see, we've only received very little from that yet. And then the city of Santa Rosa, which are the PEG funds, that we get those reimbursed, and we haven't received those funds. So really, right now, are our grants, the homeowner exception, and interest rates that you see here.
All right, well, if you could check with the county and.
I will let them know
and,
that that's
yeah,
what
just see it, okay. Any other questions on the summary that Ernest provided to us? And then, I'll just ask, were there any questions on any of the other financial reports?
No.
Pretty standard. Barbara, did you have anything?
No.
Deborah?
No?
No, I think we're all feeling pretty comfortable.
Yay.
Yeah,
Paradise Beach.
yeah. Okay. Well, we've gone through the, proposed workflow, and we've made some additions. Beyond that, are there other agenda items for future committee meetings? Dave?
This is gonna sound strange, okay? We are building a huge new library whose title is uncertain, out of Fern and Button. Are we gonna be setting up a series of separate accounts for that project? With regard to construction, we're not gonna be handling the money. I assume it's gonna be coming into the city to pass out to various people. The source of funds is a whole bunch of strange entities. The city is chipping in 10 million, there's grants that come in for about another 10 million. We're still in the hole by a few million on the construction side. We're gonna also be raising money right along for FF&E, okay? How do we tell people what's going on? In other words, because right now we can get away with arm waving, it's sort of a mix and stuff, but starting in August, there's gonna be a real campaign. And people are gonna maybe asking embarrassing questions about how the library is gonna be handling it. Right now, we don't have title to most of these funds, they're not our money, it's not our money.
Right.
And we won't have title to the building once it's completed.
Right.
But we'll have staff in there, furniture, just to give a broad overview. So I'd like to have a theoretical discussion in August, how the money for this project is to be accounted by us and possibly other entities.
Maybe a draft MOU between the library and the city.
Whatever you think is best. We don't have a problem right now, because we're just doing these, no, it hasn't come up really.
Yeah, we've never really done anything like this, have we?
Yeah, right.
So, no, I don't think that's an odd question at all. I think that's a very smart question.
However, technically, the library isn't raising the money
The lot,
mostly,
it's not the lot, yeah,
Yeah,
You know,
Foundation.
the foundation.
foundation.
Yeah, Barbara?
Yeah, I can't hear everything that, especially David was saying, but I think it's a very good question. The concept is important to know. I was under the impression that the foundation was handling all the financing and it wasn't on our books at all. Am I incorrect?
That's correct.
that's right.
Okay, so what kind of reporting would we be looking at?
I'm not sure. The
Well, we
public
do-
is the ultimate beneficiary of this project.
Well, so we are managing the $1 million from the state library from Levine and Connolly, and we do have to do reporting requirements for that funding, and that is through the county. So they're managing the money and they're the pass-through, but we have to do all the reporting requirements for.
Maybe we could have a report on how this stuff is supposed to be handled. I don't know if we're ready to set up a chart of accounts.
Yeah, not
yet.
sure if we're far enough along, but it would be really helpful, I think, and I think something the commission would wanna understand too.
Yeah.
Even though it sounds like mostly this is not gonna be our
Right.
purview to control,
Right.
but it's a reasonable question that we just understand what it
And
is.
during the campaign, it's not helpful to say, this is not our money. You know, they're gonna want, well, okay, what kind of system have you people got set up here?
Yeah.
We can have further discussion in August of, perhaps a template of how to report back to the finance committee and the commission.
Because this is not gonna be the last time
No.
that we raise money for a branch.
Hopefully it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
hopefully not at all.
This is a good
Yeah,
way to
good.
start that conversation, yeah.
Other topics for future meetings? All right, well, I'd like to thank everybody for coming. We're gonna adjourn the meeting at 3:49.
Nice.
Yay.
Myrna, thanks
Take care,
for,
Barbara.
Thank you.
providing such clear and accurate reporting. Barbara, hope you continue to feel better. Look forward to seeing you in person soon.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks for all of your reporting, Maren. I appreciate it. Thanks, Andy.
You're welcome, thank you.
Thanks
Have
for
a nice
joining us.
summer.
remotely. There you are.
Have a
Now we can
summer.
see you big. Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That was great.